All right, let's roll up our sleeves. ESPN's Alden Gonzalez joining us right now. Alden, great to have you on. How was the weekend for you with the Roki Sasaki addition to the Dodgers and then the Tanner Scott little bonus on Sunday? Dodger fans are thrilled. The rest of Major League Baseball on social media, not so much, huh?
Well, first off, let's have some pity for me, who never gets any time off because the Dodgers just never stop signing people. Spring training's about to start. I haven't had an off season. They won the World Series, and then they just proceed to sign every single player. It's honestly like I'm almost numb to it. The Tanner Scott news came through over the week, and I'm just like, yeah, they signed another guy because that's just what they do now. It's crazy to think just like how they operated even just 2 years ago, right? This was a team that obviously always has had a lot of resources and they always got stars, but they were always very sort of, I guess, prudent in the way they would go about things, right? It would drive people in LA crazy sometimes because they just wanted them to sign everybody and they wouldn't. And Tanner Scott was a perfect example. Like, that's the kind of deal for a back end reliever in free agency that, like, this front office doesn't really spend money like that on those type of relievers, but they're operating at a different level right now. And it's been ever since they got Shohei Otani. They're signing whoever they want, whenever they want. They're paying as much money as they need to. And whether they need to defer some salary or make up for it with a signing bonus, whatever it takes, they just get the guy. And this is back-to-back off seasons now where they get everybody they want. It truly is stunning.
You mentioned it, Alden, and for me, this is the Shohei Otani effect. Why? Because of the money they make off Shohei. Now they bring in Roki, right? So now I'm sure they're going to get even more. They already have Yamamoto, and they have Shohei. Now they bring in Roki, who's like the young stud. So there'll just be more money pouring in from the Japanese media and the advertisers and everyone to back them. So this, to me, is the Shohei effect of why you sign a Shohei Otani that is not only a baseball star in America, but an international star, mega star away from the field, right? Because, I mean, I've heard numbers from anywhere from 150 to 200 million that they made just off Shohei last year. Well, this is all going back into the team to sign Scott, to sign Blake Snell. I mean, heck, we forgot they signed Blake Snell forever ago, right? Teoscar's back. Now they have Tanner Scott. So this is them reinvesting. Guggenheim has enough money. So now they're like the Cubs. We're just trying to break even. So we'll sign everybody. And I think it's great. If I'm a Dodgers fan, I am like, thank you. Bring it on.
And it's what every team, every fan base would want from their team. Like, and you can't do anything but give them credit. They're taking all that money and they're reinvesting it. And like, the luxury tax threshold used to be something that in some ways they sort of feared. And now it seems as if they could care less about it because, as you said, AJ, I mean, look, they had some very favorable projections for what Shohei Otani could mean from them from a business standpoint heading into 2024. It's a large reason why they wanted him. That's no secret. He blew away every single financial projection that they could have ever fathomed. Like, just him going from the Angels to the Dodgers made such a huge difference. Their footprint in Japan is so much bigger than they would have ever imagined. I mean, I'm at Dodger Stadium a lot during the year. Like, every day there are Japanese tour groups that go through that stadium. Just tourism in general to Los Angeles has changed dramatically because of Shohei Otani. And now, like, they've gotten to a point where, and I understand frustration from other fan bases, and I even kind of get people wondering, is this fair what they're doing? Because they've almost like monopolized the industry. Like, I remember when Andrew Friedman, that front office group, first got there, one thing they talked about a lot was that they wanted to make the Dodgers and LA in general a destination for free agents. And it took some years to get there. But they're at a point now where, I mean, you can't beat the weather throughout the summer, playing in front of packed stadiums, winning every single year. They have more resources than anybody. They have a better track record than anybody of making guys better. So it's like, it's almost as if every free agent is willing to do whatever it takes to be a Dodger right now. And I think the only thing working against them is that they only have a certain amount of roster spots. This is just where they're at right now in their trajectory. Everybody wants to be a Dodger. So, and they're taking full advantage of it because they're willing to spend.
Is that the hoverboard from Back to the Future in the background? Am I seeing that right? Okay. So take us to the future when this $1.375 billion of deferred money starts coming off the books, and these players are 35 years old. The whole team will be 35 at the same time. Do you see the Dodgers not caring about that? And is this really just all funded from what AJ said, the Shohei cash?
Keep in mind that the way, and this is why it can be kind of a boon for teams to defer money. Maybe not as much as people might think, but still it's beneficial. With these deferred payments, and not to get too in the weeds here, but basically you gotta put away that money into an escrow account if you're the Dodgers, right? Like you can't just like put it aside and hope that you could make that payment, because what Major League Baseball wants to guard against is just basically teams not being able to foot the bill when it comes due. So every year they gotta put a certain amount of money aside into an escrow account to fund those deferred payments. Now you put that money in an escrow account, and maybe it's a more conservative account, but it's still going to build interest and you're going to make money off it. And a corporation like Guggenheim can probably invest it in very good ways. So, I mean, they're going to fund it. They're going to have the money for it. And by that point, like they hope to have multiple championships and to have, made this the greatest era in Dodgers history and their footprint. And there's already a bunch of kids in Japan, wearing Shohei Otani and Yamamoto and soon Roki Sasaki jerseys, who are going to want to be Dodgers one day. And like, for as big as their brand was in Japan in the mid 1990s, it's exponentially bigger now. So, I mean, it's almost a moot point. I mean, I hate to minimize it, but they're going to be able to fund that money. And I think the key for them, and this is a very real thing, and Andrew talks about it still, they got to maintain a good minor league system, right? Like the reason why franchises hit a wall eventually is because their roster ages out. They got a lot of money tied to aging players. And obviously that is a risk that the Dodgers are taking on now. The type of risk that they weren't willing to take on before because they were afraid of something like this happening. That definitely is a threat now. It is more important for them than ever to develop their own talent and to do well in trades when they get prospects back in return, because that pipeline needs to keep coming through. For as much money as the Dodgers might have, and they have as much as anybody, they need to still be able to develop homegrown talent. And once if that stagnates, then they're going to be in trouble. But they've proven that they could do it.
Basically, Tom Selleck in Mr. Baseball is the one that gets all this credit. Back in the day, the movie, Tom Selleck wore his Dodgers hat, so that's where it ended up coming from. But is this, you mentioned Roki. Is Roki, like we heard reports now that Major League Baseball has already done their own investigation and everything is on the up and up. Is that the last we've heard that this Roki signing, nothing nefarious was going on, nothing ahead of time was going on with the Dodgers?
I don't know that it's the last that we'll hear. I could tell you, I heard months ago that Major League Baseball looked into it because they heard from a lot of other front office executives and other people throughout the game wondering if there was something nefarious here going on, if there was a handshake deal between Roki and the Dodgers. And leading up to his signing and after his signing, I heard from a lot of evaluators who wondered if this entire process was a farce. And look, Joe Wolf, his agent, will tell you that this was a legitimate process, that Roki had a really tough decision, and that he wanted to.
Alden, what's he supposed to say? What's he supposed to say? He's not going to be like,
of course.
Hey, yeah, man, we totally had this done months ago. Of course, he's going to come out and say it was a fair process. To me, this seems like, everyone was called this months ago that he was going there.
Yes.
So there had to be. They'll never prove it.
And here's the thing, and that's the key. And that's what I was getting at. And that's what I was getting at, because I've heard from a lot of people who question that, and I've been hearing it for months, and a lot of people have been talking about it. But at the end of the day, like, let's say there was a handshake deal here, right? Like, if you're Major League Baseball, how are you proving that, right? Even the people who wonder if there was something nefarious happening, they don't have any proof, right? It's just a lot of smoke. So I don't know what the solution is there, is my point.
Yeah, Alden, I'll add to this, because I actually don't think there was a pre-cut deal. It's not like he was a free agent. Every team was going to give him maximum international bonus money. There was just a predetermined decision. He's a Dodger fan. He's friends with Otani and Yamamoto. I'm sure they've had conversations in the past, which, as far as I know, is legal. So there was nothing actually illegal as part of the process. He just already had it in his head where he wanted to go for a long time now. I think the part that's pissing people off is why they went through this whole process. I'm trying to think about why he would do it. The only thing I could come up with, Alden, is yes, for optics, but also for an information suck. He gets to sit with all these teams that tell him what they think he should do and wine and dine him. And it's his only opportunity to do that right now. So many people would probably take that on, even if it was BS.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I wrote over the weekend about, the homework assignment that Roki had for teams was he wanted them to tell him why his fastball velocity dropped last year and what their plans were to make sure that that never happened again. And I did hear from some teams that they wondered, and this is just their speculation, if exactly what you said, Scott, if that was just sort of gathering intel from teams because he already knew where he was going and he could get all this intel from teams and he could apply it to himself and he could share it with the Dodgers. And again, that is all speculation, but there are a lot of people who wonder about that as well. There's no doubt about it.
All right, I have a couple questions for you. The first two are really quick answers. One, will he throw the javelin with Yamamoto?
I don't think that is part of his training. I think that's very specific to Yamamoto.
Okay, perfect. And then second of all, the Dodgers, I don't know who the Dodgers had at their meeting, but I'm assuming Shohei was there, Yamamoto was there, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith. We know Glasnow wasn't there, maybe Blake Snell. I don't know. And then you look at the Blue Jays, and this is not a knock on Bo Bichette and Chad Green. I think Varsho was the third player there. But where was Vladdy? Right? Where was Vladdy? Like, if I go into a meeting and I have Shohei, Yamamoto, Freddie, Mookie, Will Smith, whoever else, Blake Snell, and then I go to the Blue Jays, and again, this is a knock on those guys, but I'm kind of starstruck. How do you say no to that? I don't know. Maybe I'm way off.
And AJ, on the Blue Jays side, it's kind of telling, right? And maybe why they keep finishing second or third place in free agents. The Vladimir Guerrero Jr. situation, the uncertainty there, the fact that he could be a free agent in a year and they don't have an extension with him, that hangs over everything the Blue Jays do. That's very telling.
True. Okay, so then here's my next thing. I'm happy this happened. You know why? I'm happy they're signing everybody. Because who's going to be the team that's going to step up? Is it going to be the Phillies? Now, let's not forget, the Padres had them last year. The Padres had Game 4 at home, bullpen day for the Dodgers, and they didn't score a run for 2 games. Who's going to be the team that says, we're not afraid of the big, bad Dodgers, and we're going to go out and beat them in a playoff series? That's what other teams, now listen, fan bases are fan bases, but if I was a player and I was in that division, if I'm the Diamondbacks, I'm like, let's go shock the world and prove that with Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen and our team that we assembled, we can go out there and kick their ass. Like, that's what I would be if I was a player. It's great that all these guys are getting their money. Let's go out and be the team that shocks the world.
And AJ, it's why I love what the Diamondbacks have done. To go out and get Corbin Burns, to do what they did last offseason to try to fortify that team in a small market. I mean, look, baseball, you guys know this very well. Like baseball, more so than any other sport, you can sign every guy you want. And it's come October, it's not going to matter. I mean, look at the Yankees in the 2000s when they signed everybody, and almost every year they would come up short. I think this is fun to have this in sports, to have the one team that everybody outside of that market hates and is jealous of and can't stand and wants to beat so badly. And that's the Dodgers right now. And that makes it a fun dynamic. I mean, look, the Dodgers team that won the World Series last year, I think going in was one of the worst Dodger teams I had seen coming into the playoffs, especially because of how bad their rotation outlook seemed. And they won it all. That was not the year for them to win it all. So nothing is guaranteed. That the National League West is as good as any division. I thought the Padres were a much better team than them in October. That's not the case now. They got a lot of work to do. But, I mean, it's up for grabs. It really is. I mean, anything could happen once the baseball season starts.
All right, this is what I say the Dodgers also do. They sign Pete Alonso, they can platoon him with Freddie Freeman, and they sign Alex Bregman, they can platoon him with Max Muncy. Mm-hmm. And then that way, I mean, then they're set at every position. I think we lost Alden. Did he freeze?
He didn't like that last line.
Oh, he didn't like that. But I'm thinking the Dodgers do that.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, is he back? Alden, are you back?